Welcome to Movie the Podcast. That's right, Movie the Podcast. We are here, most of us, but not all of us. Mysterious. Let's find out who's not here this week. That's the big winner. To figure out which voice you didn't hear, write us at molehole.aol@msn.net.
Or if you're dogs, just text your own show constantly.
Yeah, yes. And then you can just, figure it out. But anyway,
it's Alec. Alec's not here.
Well, that's Alec. Just write Alec to.
Well, he might be here. He might be here later. We don't know yet. So he might pop in.
Fantasy app.
He's stuck in a pet cemetery.
Check our Alta Vista page. No, like Angel Fire page.
Go to Errol's.com and get some
Go to Lycosbot.
And check out our GeoCities account.
Like us on Webcrawler.
Yeah. Next time you ask Jeeves about mobile radio.
Y'all remember fucking aggregator websites?
Oh my god.
That was a big thing.
Check us out on The Dig or whatever. What was it?
It was Dig. It was Dig. Yeah.
We're the number 3 movie podcast on Hotbot. That's right, Hotbot.
I listened to Chapo last week, and they had the name of the guest's podcast is called Seeking Derangement, and I believe it's a trans person and a gay man. But it was funny because they were promoting they do some. You remember that thing I did, Gogs, like a billion years ago? It was called like Talk Shoe, or it was I
remember Talk Shoe.
Yeah. So I guess they have something similar to that now, where it's a podcast platform, but it supports like live recording and live call-ins.
Are they doing like a Discord podcast?
I guess, but it was funny. I'd never heard of it, but it was funny because they were like, we're the number 3 show overall, and the number 2 shows are just white supremacists and transphobes, and they love us because they just call in and like fucking dog on us, and then it's the 3rd most popular show. I was like, that's hilarious.
It was called
well, they have a regular podcast that's very good. It's called Seeking Derangements, but like they're on this new, like they're trying out this new platform, and they're like, well, if you want to come over to this platform filled with bigots and racists, come over to us.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny. Anyway, speaking of bigots and racists, what did you guys watch this week? That's a segue.
That's it. That's how you do it. That's professionalism.
Nobody mentioned Baby Boy.
Who?
Dogs.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
I watched 4 things.
Hell yeah.
And I'd say
a long one.
I'd say these 4 films, if there was like a unexpected unifying theme, it was ambition.
The theme of the movies were
just all 4 movies were
very ambitious. Okay, gotcha.
To varying degrees of success. Let's start slow and work our way up to what I think is going to get the crowd going. So I watched with my family the new Matilda musical, Not Gonna Lie, on Netflix. Really good. Somewhere between Annie meets Pan's Labyrinth meets Firestarter.
Matilda's the chick with the hat.
Yeah, that might be Madeline you're thinking.
Oh, okay.
Of. But she does wear a hat.
Does she have like superpowers?
She has telekinesis in this movie.
Was that
it was a Roald Dahl book.
Was there a Danny DeVito movie in the 90s?
There was, with that little girl who whispers all the time.
Yeah. All I know about that movie is that they were promoting it pretty hard on TikTok for a while, and like the one like dance sequence that they showed, like the like camera movement and the choreography was absolutely insane. Like
the dance sequences in this movie go hard as fuck.
It's funny because that alone, I was like, maybe I should check that, because like it was like really, really well done. Like,
no, it is. It goes fucking hard. It cracked my top 10 of 2022. Wow. I liked it more than Thor: Love and Thunder. So
that's not saying much.
But I really enjoyed it, and it's very well done. And it's got the guy who I think we as a show love, whose name we don't know, the guy who plays Tommy from Snatch.
Yeah.
and he's in Boardwalk
He's in
Empire.
Boardwalk Empire, and he's great.
Yeah, so, and it's I don't know if it's for everyone, but I watch it with my kids, and I'm not gonna lie, really enjoyed it.
Watch it with Gog's kids.
Watch it with my,
Was it, did your kids
my
like
children.
Did
Oh,
your
they
kids
loved
enjoy it?
They loved it. It was a household smash, just like the Monster Mash.
That's really more of a graveyard smash.
That's a good point.
Speaking of which, I murdered my family.
Yeah, Chris Benoit. So now,
have you all ever seen the guy that sang Monster Mash? Because it's fucking hilarious.
No.
He looks like one of the Beach Boys, but he's like, because of the voice, he like tries to look like Frankenstein. Like, look up some old TV performances with him. It's fucking hilarious.
and then he like other hits.
Well, he tried to be like a folk singer, and it just like people are like, do Monster Mash. Like,
no new crap.
They're working overtime.
We were just talking about that the other day.
So that movie, ambitious, and it landed. Second movie, also ambitious. On TJ's recommendation, I got 2 Ray Fiennes movies and 2 Catherine Bigelow movies this week.
Shit, did you watch Dead Ringers?
No, but I did watch The Menu.
Oh, I love that
movie kicks a nice tight pile of ass.
It's so much fun, right?
It's really good.
Sean, you gotta watch it.
It's a really interesting exploration on like.
Sean, someone bought your book, sir.
Isn't it crazy that I can just say I will and everybody gets it? That's a specific reference.
So, it's a real, I mean, TJ already talked about it, but it's a really tight, interesting story about art and what happens to art when it's underappreciated, but also overappreciated.
God,
and
what is art?
Well, that's a great question. Like
paintings and stuff.
Yeah, like paintings. But, as a guy who likes,
there's another like reference that literally nobody gets. That is a reference to a 2-second sketch from a probably closer to 40-year-old show.
But yeah, the menu.
Speaking of Gogs, I mean to keep cutting you off, but Alex not here, so we can do whatever we want.
Oh yeah,
Dad's asleep.
Cat's away.
We were talking about
not here.
Recent episodes of The Simpsons, and I was like, yeah, I think the most recent the newest one I watched was the Seth Rogen superhero one, and that episode was like 17 years ago.
Yeah. Good times though. Good times on The Simpsons. But not back then. Not now.
Okay.
No, never.
Yeah,
now.
the menu was great. I'm glad you liked it. Sean, I think you'd really like it too. It was so much fun.
And Taylor Joy.
Is it a better send-up of art than Rush or what was the one we loved? The Velvet
Buzzsaw. Yeah, it's a better movie than Velvet Buzzsaw.
Oh, okay.
It is. So here, like the one thing I think everybody that saw Velvet Buzzsaw in this podcast liked it because generally people did not like it, but I think the one problem that I have with Velvet Buzzsaw is I think at times it didn't commit enough to how like annoying it was. Yeah. Like it, and I feel like the menu does that in spades. Like it commits to its premise so hard, and like it never flinches, right? Even up till the ending. And the ending, I don't want to give it away, but the ending is, I think it's fucking brilliant. And people that don't like the ending, and I hate to say this, but I don't think you understand the movie. Like,
who doesn't like the ending?
A lot of people.
The ending rules.
I don't think they understand the movie, and I don't think they understand the tone of the movie. But I loved it. This
is just since you haven't seen it, Sean, this won't give anything away, but the part where they're describing what's in their gift bags at the end of the night just fucking cracked me the fuck up. And Ray Fiennes is...
He's so good. And more about him later.
We're going to explore about how good Ray Fiennes is later. Oh, yeah, by the way, it's still Rock Around the Clock Till You Drop. What's our theme this month? It's
it's Dance Dance Resolution.
Yeah, so we watched Strange Days. So
we didn't even say what we watched. Damn, Alex.
Well, you clicked on the thing.
Yeah, you clicked on it. It's your fault. But yeah, the menu, ambitious rules. The next movie I watched, Catherine Bigelow, Aliens montage banger, Near Dark. I'd never seen it before.
Yes, such a good movie. Such a fun take on fucking vampires. Like, I love that movie.
That movie is so, I think Sean previously described it, is either gritty or grimy.
It's very
Uh,
Texas. Like, it's
yeah.
a wet,
it's like
southern
Texas
gothic.
And dirty.
And I love how like gross the vampires are.
The
Like,
vampires are so gross, and Bill Paxton is so good. Lance Henriksen is so good. Vasquez, whose name escapes me, is so good.
Jeanette
Goldstein.
Also, I am fucked up forever because like that Vasquez is like in brown face in Aliens, like fucks me up. Like I never realized.
Is she in brown face, or is she just doing an accent?
Look at her in that movie. Look at her in Terminator 2. I didn't realize it until literally I watched this really great. There's a
James
great
Cameron loves Jeanette Goldstein.
The T-800 is so fucking stupid. Like, why did it think the dog would be named Wolfie? Like,
yeah.
Also,
well, it's never seen a dog, or it's never petted one.
This is going to be tangent the podcast, but there's a funny TikTok I saw where you know the scene we're talking about in Terminator 2 where Edward Furlong calls back to his house and the T-9000 has already killed the parents.
1,000, but who's talking?
1,000, excuse me.
Well, I said 800. I'm all over the place.
But she's making like soup. But it's the Terminator that's making the soup. Why? And this
like,
the guy on the TikTok's like, why did this Terminator murder this family and decide to make some soup?
I guess in case the kid comes home.
Is the soup made of T-1000? Because that would be awesome.
I can tell you why from a movie standpoint. It's because as the audience, it's because remember it pans out and you see like the fucking. His like liquid sword through her face. It's because the audience. It's because the audience doesn't know, but like,
hell yeah,
you know
liquid swords.
It's kind of silly if you think about it, but anyway.
Yeah.
When the MCs came. All right, so then
get ready for a 3-hour episode, everybody. We can't stop talking.
But that fucking Near Dark rules. Bill Paxton rules. Lance Henriksen rules. Like it's
I knew
weird
and
gritty
movie.
And grimy, and like the kid vampire is so tragic and like awesome. And the scene in the bar, like the scene in like the honky tonk or whatever, the shit kicker bar is like such a slow burn. It's like really uncomfortable. It's great.
I fucking love that.
That movie rules. Catherine Bigelow rules. More about her later.
I believe that movie is still available on Shudder as well.
It is. That's how I watched it.
Which is awesome because that movie was like basically lost media.
It's hard. You can't find. You get. I almost bought a DVD for $35.
If you want to see a hilarious, fucking awful Blu-ray cover, there is a edition of Near Dark that came out on Blu-ray around the same time as Twilight, and they tried to like Photoshop it to make it look like Twilight, and it's fucking horrendous. It's
got what's his name's face kind of and May's face like sort of in the. Yeah, it's bad.
I will say though, I think I talked about this. We talked about Near Dark before. The ending bothers me a little bit, but I still really like the movie a lot.
I think the ending's a little. It kind of throws canon on its.
Well, it's the same problem I have with that fucking 30 Days a Night, right? Where 30 Days a Night, like they meet this vampire that's like older. It's like older than time itself. He's like the oldest vampire. And he's able to be bested by a guy that just turned into a vampire 5 seconds ago. It's kind of the same end.
Yeah.
But anyway, still a great movie. Fantastic movie. And also, then, Catherine Bigelow, I know she won an Oscar. She does not get the credit she deserves.
She does not. She makes a good, gritty street film. Most of her movies are like street level, like, you know, like you can sort of see like where the Safdie brothers could get some inspiration from the shit she does.
Did she make Zero Dark 30?
She did make Zero Dark 30. I did not see Zero.
And The Hurt Locker.
I liked The Hurt Locker.
Hurt Locker is pretty good, but I did not care for Zero Dark 30.
The Hurt Locker was I thought The Hurt Locker was the first Catherine Bigelow movie I saw, and then I realized that Point Break, one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, how are you going to forget that?
I mean, no, I just didn't realize. At that point, I wasn't paying attention to directors, so I was still a neophyte.
She's like incredibly talented. Like,
she really is.
Damn it, Tom Brady, Jesus Christ!
What Timmy Brady do?
He just threw a fucking pick in the end zone.
SpaghettiOs. So then the last thing I watched was probably of the 4 films I watched. Near Dark, also ambitious, but the last one I watched was the most ambitious thing. I watched
Beyond the Black Rainbow.
I've watched it and I've loved it. That's a good movie.
You like that? That's
I
interesting.
did like Beyond the Black Rainbow. It was strange as shit.
That is such a non-A to B movie. I would think you'd hate it because they don't explain like anything.
No, I'm just here for it for the visuals. Like
the visuals are
Cosmos Camoplos or whatever.
Yeah, I love that too. I think it's Cosmos Camoplos.
So I love Beyond the Black Rainbow. I love Mandy.
Yeah, he's fucking awesome.
The last thing I watched was the director's cut of Nightbreed, which is, I know TJ just recently watched it. That is a movie. That thing it's a mess. It's a mess.
It's a mess. You described it to me via text as Clive Barker's sketchbook, and that is like a very accurate description of that movie, because it's like 7 movies.
There's just a lot of idea. He's like just idea. Some of them land, some of them not so much. Like the scene, like the serial killer mask and situation lands hard.
It's fucking awesome. That
mask is silly. Some of the monsters, not so much. Some, yes, the flashback to like the monster apocalypse, which is happening maybe during the Crusades or something, looks like a 9 Inch Nails video, and I want to know what's going on. The plot is ludicrous.
It really is.
Like the way that the entire town like marshals up and storms the Capitol at this cemetery at the end, like it is,
and like slaughters like all these like weird monsters.
Yeah, I mean, because clearly like the theme is we're really the monsters, right? Like it's pretty ham-handed, right? But then they just going through just relentlessly just shooting children and stuff. Like it's nuts. And then, then they release the berserkers and everything explodes, and then Cabal like is going to become the new monster Jesus. And what I find is very interesting is the movie sets itself up to have a sequel, and I don't think it had a sequel.
No.
But it sets itself up hard for a sequel. It's like, we're going to hunt them. Because after the priest gets the goop that sends his head backwards, like, he's like,
Sean,
I'm going to hunt them down.
Movie?
Years ago.
Yeah.
It is like, I think, and the problem is I had never seen this before, and I think I always got imagery from this movie and imagery from the it's not Howie Long, Howie Mandel.
Firestarter?
Oh. No, Howie Mandel Little Monsters movie. Kind of mixed up in my mind. But this movie is a big swing. It is the most ambitious of the 4 films I watched, and unfortunately its reach exceeded its grasp. Is that the term? It's
we call that the Wachowski maneuver.
Yeah.
I mean, until recently.
Didn't Barker direct it too?
He wrote and directed it. And you've got And you've got Cronenberg in it, which is wild.
Yeah, Cronenberg's the bad guy in it.
Like, it's just and the main guy kind of looks like, whatever his name was, Steve Ranzizi or whatever from fucking
Stolen Valor, Ranzizi.
From The League.
It's gonna look like this.
It's distracting, but like the movie it's like something to watch just because it's like, holy fuck, they made this. But it's not.
I totally agree. That's how I felt. Like it is. It's not boring because it's fucking. It's super long too, but like there's always something happening. You may not understand what the fuck is going on, but something is happening.
It's not a movie you watch; it's a movie you witness, and I witnessed it, and it's
that's a good way to put it.
And I guess I'm better for it. At least I can refer to it. And the porcupine lady is fucking wild. But that's everything. Shown.
Oh, I didn't watch shit. I've just been watching football and playing NBA Street and NFL 2K5.
Let's go.
I got an Xbox with 83 games for $40.
Hey, that's a steal.
It is a steal. But yeah, no, I haven't had a chance to watch anything really. Like, me and movies are still kind of at odds.
You're on the outs.
In general. Like, everybody's like, have you seen Megan? I was like, I saw enough Megan.
Yeah. That movie looks fucking awful too.
I'm not even remotely interested. Like, isn't it so cool? Like,
wait, what is that about? I don't even know what you're talking about.
It's dancing like AI
/Small Wonder horror movie or something.
It looks fucking terrible.
Miss me with that, probably.
Yeah, like legit. It's somewhere around reading for me.
Ugh.
TJ.
Chaos.
I watched a whole bunch of shit. I watched 3 things.
3 things.
I'm gonna start with, I watched 2, amazing things and 1 abysmal piece of dog shit. So I'm gonna start with the abysmal piece of dog shit. And I will preface this by saying I watched this at 1/2 speed, or 1.5 speed, so I watched this very fast, cause I knew it was bad, but I kinda wanted to witness how bad it was. I watched, Don't Worry, Darling.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh yeah, you haven't heard about this?
No.
This is one of those movies that, you heard more about the controversy behind the scenes than the actual movie itself.
Now it's starting to ring a bell.
This is the one that Olivia Wilde, co-wrote and directed, and she apparently was like abusive to the crew because Jason Sudeikis served her like divorce papers on set. Not divorce papers, but like custody papers for their kid.
He was just listening to Fresh and Fit all week, and he's like, you know what?
Apparently, Chris Pine and Harry Styles like didn't get along, and there was all this talk about like all this other crap going on in this movie. And the movie is horrible. I'm gonna spoil it because it's that bad.
Is Olivia Wilde the Psylocke one, or is that a different? Like, I get the Olivia's mixed
That's
up.
Olivia Munn. Olivia Wilde, she was kind of popular for a while. She was, all I ever remember her from. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. But she was in a lot of
Digital Jazz.
Yeah, she was like the hot. She looked like what was that first person video? Mirror's Edge. She looked like Mirror's Edge.
Yeah.
She's white.
Flora?
She's white, but she looks like Asian enough, so they kind of yellow faced her in a weird way. Anyway, she's also like a nepo baby. She's somebody famous.
Where did I fucking hear that phrase today? Like, what the hell did I listen to?
There was a Vanity Fair article about nepo babies. That's where I even.
Oh no, it was on Cartoonist Kayfabe with fucking Jim Rugg and Ed Piskor.
Is it like Muppet Babies?
No, nepo, like nepotism. I can't say it right.
It's like those kids that, like, you know, it's like Fail Sons, kind of, but they're like, oh, you don't realize everything was so much harder on me because my dad was Steven Spielberg.
Scott, no. Ones that are actually successful, like Scott Conn would be one. Like, guys that have a career but, like, really shouldn't because they're awful. Anyway.
That's Scott Conn.
You bitch.
He's fucking terrible. Have you ever seen a vessel where you're like, man, Scott Conn was really good. Anyway, so Don't Worry, Darling is like this kind of weird, like surreal kind of 1950s movie, and you're like, okay, it's kind of interesting. And like basically like these women, they live in this like perfect little society, and the men go off to the business store, and Florence Pugh is like, something's not right with this, and there's like weird stuff happening. And then the twist happens. And the twist is so unbelievably fucking stupid that like I don't know how this like got past the like editorial phase, cuz like you find out that first of all you find out that Florence Pugh in real life, she's in a simulation. First of all, everyone is in a simulation.
Okay.
And Harry Styles and his gang of fucking weird incels have got this technology that creates the fucking simulation, and that's like the whole movie.
Wait, what?
What? Also, like, you can fucking ugly up Harry Styles all you want by giving him a bad beard
so pretty.
and stringy hair. I'd never buy him as an incel. Like, it'd be one thing if, like, this movie is so bad, but it doesn't matter. But, like, it'd be one thing if he's Harry Styles in this simulation, and then he looks like fucking Rich from fucking Red Letter Media or something in real life. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this movie is so dumb and bad, and then, like, it's just, like, misguided, and I don't know if you guys remember.
What is the point of the movie?
Well, the movie doesn't know what the point of the movie is.
Wait, how did they get Florence Pugh's, how'd she get into this simulation? They drug her?
Harry Styles kidnapped her.
Oh, that's simple.
And and I guess you're led to believe that Chris Pine who also is like one of the most handsome men I've ever seen, is just some grimy computer incel. Like, I don't know. It's so bad. The movie is meant to be this, like, I guess they're trying to make it this weird sort of like empowerment movie because she fights back, but it doesn't really work. And the only reason she gets out is because all the men screw up. So it's like, she doesn't even get out on her own.
Assassination Nation kind of thing?
No.
That movie rules.
Assassination Nation is actually written well.
Is that what they're going for?
I don't know, dude. I watched this movie and I was just very confused. Like, I don't know. It's terrible. Don't watch it. There was a movie a few years ago that I watched that also was like like the trailers made it seem like it was just like a regular kind of like murder mystery kind of thing. And then that was in a simulation too. Like, I don't know what it is about like bad movies where it's like, we have to add this like weird science fiction element. I think it was called like Severance or Serenity or something. It came out a couple of years ago.
Slappy.
It was about like,
Slappy.
Wow, the Cowboys have missed 2 extra points.
Nice.
That's really bad. But they're still winning 12-0. So let's get into the good things I watched.
Let's go, boys.
I watched a movie called Pleasure. I fucking loved it. It was very good. Now, I said it in my patented snarky red letterbox review. This goes right up there with Climax and Ex-Drummer as a movie I think is a fucking masterpiece, but I can only recommend it to like 4 people. Cause it is not an easy sit.
How many of those people are on this call?
At least one of them.
Stay tuned to find out who.
So Pleasure is one, it's kind of strange because it's a Swedish film that's almost entirely in English. So it's kind of weird. Like it's also the only movie I've ever uploaded to the Plex and they got all the information for the movie wrong, which I thought was weird.
Good on them.
The only movie, and I've uploaded crazy shit to that Plex and they always get it right. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I can fix it. Pleasure is about this girl that comes over from Sweden and she wants to get into porn. And it is a very clinical view of like what being in porn is. And what's interesting about it, what I find interesting about it is the movie is even-handed. It never comes off as being like judgmental. Not to say there aren't negative things that happen in the movie, but like it's very fair. And the other weird thing is as much as like there is a lot of sexual content in this movie, but like none of it feels exploitative. If, like I said, clinical would be the way I would describe it. And it's very good. The lead actress's performance is fantastic. And the supporting cast is very, very good. The movie lives and dies on its cast, and the cast is very good. The movie feels very natural. It's the best way I can describe it. Like everyone feels like real people. It kind of felt to me, I don't know the name of the director and I feel bad because I love their movies, but the person that directed Tangerine and Red Rocket and the Florida Project.
Steven Soderbergh directed or no, that one, never mind.
I think the same person directed all 3 of those. Okay. I could be wrong. Anyway, I'll look it up. But
no, it wasn't Soderbergh. I'm just thinking. I think I'm thinking Soderbergh because he also directed an iPhone movie, but I just got jammed up.
He directed Unsane, which is a movie I really liked, but most people didn't. But anyway, it felt like those kind of movies where like it's not like fantastical. It's shot really well, but it's not like flashy. Like I really, really enjoy. Sean Baker is the guy that directed those 3 movies. Okay. And he looks like the voice actor that's named Baker too. I wonder if they're related. Troy Baker, yeah. But if you like those 3 movies and like their kind of naturalistic approach, like I really, really enjoyed this movie. I think this is going to end up in one of my tops lists. And there's like a lot of times where I give movies credit sometimes where you think they're going in a direction, like a tropey direction, and they go the opposite way. Like one of the subplots of the movie is, so this girl, it's a character piece really about the main character. And she's trying to find purpose in her life. And she's trying to, she's made this thing to be like the biggest porn star, her goal. And it's kind of to her detriment because she kind of, not to spoil the movie, but she kind of loses like herself in pursuit of what she wants. Like it's it's not like, I mean, this is a well-worn story, but like, it's the plot of, you know, if you get, once you get to the top of the mountain, you realize that maybe you didn't, like, getting up there wasn't all it was cracked up to be.
Speaking of Black Swan.
Oh.
I mean, yeah, Boogie Nights a little bit. Boogie Nights in this are very similar.
Neon Demon.
I'd say that, like, Boogie Nights is a lot more, like, glamorous, and even when it gets, like, dark, like, there's no, like, it's this very even keel, this movie, and I've really, really enjoyed it. Highly recommend it. Pleasure. Came out last year. The director, I think it's their first time directing. I think it's a woman. I'm not entirely sure, but I believe their name is, I know for a fact that their name is Ninja Thornburg, which is fucking amazing. But yeah, highly, and maybe Ninja is pronounced differently in Swedish or whatever, but
you're allowed to do that stuff.
But it's really, really fucking good. I highly recommend it. It's a little uncomfortable. Like, again, I think, like, the sexual content is going to turn a lot of people off. I mean, like, literally one of the first scenes in the movie, she's shaving her pussy and asshole. So I think, like, people are going to see this and be like, oh, this is like a gross, like, exploitation movie, and it's really not. Like, it kind of shows...
Your asshole seems difficult.
It's not that hard.
Okay.
TJ's had no trouble shaving mine, I'll say that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you just get Gogs back there. He does a bang up job.
You'll hardly know I was there.
I mean, less teeth maybe next time, but
we all have our techniques.
No, I highly recommend Pleasure. It's really good. Again, though, like, with what its subject matter and sexual content, and there is some stuff that's, like, tough to sit through. Like, there's a moment. It's funny because there's two scenes that are, like, in like pretty big juxtaposition of each other, where she's, like, pushing her limits, like, in what she's gonna do in porn, right? And at one point she does, like, a rough scene, and it gets really rough, and it's very intense. And, you know, it's a little too much for her. But then there's another scene, again, under the same guise, where she's trying to push herself. And that scene is, like, really sweet. And, like, the guys that are there are trying to help her. It's, like, a really interesting kind of thing that the movie does. Anyway, I loved it. I thought it was great. There's a lot of, like, actual porn people in this movie. And if you're a big pervert like me, you'll recognize every single one of them. Which I did. Even, like, guys that, like, I think I said that after watching, I'm Thinking of Ending Things, I had an existential crisis. After watching this movie and recognizing people that are behind the camera in porn, like one Axel Braun, who I knew who he was, I was like, I need to reevaluate my fucking life. Like, why do I know who Axel Braun is? Like, goddamn. Anyway.
Axel Braun, I suppose.
Axel Braun is a director, a porn director. I am embarrassed that I knew who he was immediately.
Has he done anything I've seen?
Probably. He was very prolific in the early 2000s, but anyway. It's a really good, all joking aside though, like, incredible movie, and the like core cast, like, the group of girls, the main character and, like, her group of friends are so, like, well developed, and, like, they have such great chemistry. I loved it. I thought it was great. And then the last thing I watched is definitely going to end up, another one that's going to end up in my best ofs. It's the Banshees of Inisherin. It's amazing. I fucking loved it. I think that, the performances are out of this world. The whole cast is really good. It's written, like, impeccably well. Like, it's written so well, it feels like it's effortless. Like, Martin McDowell, is that his name? McDonough. Martin McDonough. Like, what screenwriting is to, like, Martin McDonough is like what guitar playing is to Buckethead. Like, the stuff that he's doing
Put that on the fucking poster.
I mean, like, the stuff that he does is just so well thought out. All of the characters, even, like, minor characters are so well written, and, like, the whole scenario and his whole vision is so realized. And, like, this isn't like this big epic story. It's a very, very simple story, but that makes it even more impressive that you're able to stay completely glued to the screen over this admittedly kind of silly premise. Like, the premise is just...
It's just like best friends breaking up, right?
That's all it is two guys are buddies, And one day, the one buddy, Gleason, what's his first name?
Brendan Gleeson.
Brendan Gleeson. Brendan Gleeson just decides, like, I'm not going to be your friend anymore. Like, I want to focus on, this other stuff in my life.
Yeah.
And I mean, but the movie is so much more than that. Like, it goes into themes of, like, what it is to, like, to kind of be true to yourself. Like, cause it's hard to describe, but like, you have to watch it. But even things like where, there's a scene I really liked where Colin Farrell kind of tells off Brendan Gleeson, because again, Brendan Gleeson's initial thing was he didn't want to be friends because all he ever does in life is talk to him. And like at the end of the day, like in 20 years, no one's going to remember him and his small talk, but he's a musician. He plays the violin. And he's like, if I write, a piece of like amazing music, then my
legacy is there.
My legacy will live on forever. And like, there's kind of a point in this movie where it's like, well, does that really fucking matter? Like, do you want to be like, why does being an asshole and being remembered by people you'll not ever meet, like, why is that important to you instead of just being important to people you care about? And like, that message alone is like really interesting. And it is not like, that is a point that a whole movie could be written around, and it's literally just a scene. It's just added as like added seasoning to this plot.
Well, I'll tell you, man. Like,
God.
Oh no, I'm sorry. As someone who doesn't have children and most likely won't at this point, sometimes like what I leave behind is like at paramount to me, right? So like it is something that's like, I think about quite a bit.
Oh, I do too. I mean,
well, I think the movie explores the trade-off of like Brendan Gleeson's sitting there dealing in absolutes, and he can't seem to rectify. Like you don't need to abandon the immediate satisfaction for this potential long-term.
But Brendan Gleeson's also not being honest with himself, and he's that's the other thing that's great about the movie. Like there's so much to this fucking movie. Like, he's still this, like, good-hearted person, and he's kind of faking it to thinking that he's going to do it to extreme amounts. I fucking loved it.
It's like when you take a dog that you love out to the field and say, just go, boy, and, like, try and shoo him away, and the dog's like, it's that trope.
Barry Keogh is really good in this movie. He plays, like a slow kid that's, like, befriended Colin Farrell. It's really good. Colin Farrell's sister in the movie is really fucking good. Also, she's the voice of Friday in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which I thought was hilarious. I was like, that's such a weird thing. Like, I was like, I recognize her voice. Like, I recognize her. I couldn't figure out where, and I looked up her IMDb, and she's like, oh, voice of Friday. And that was the voice in Spider-Man's head in Homecoming. And she's the voice, she's like the new AI in Tony Stark's head after they created Vision. I was like, that's pretty funny. I love this movie though. It's a masterpiece. It's so good.
Rank his movies right now.
Gogs, I still haven't seen Seven Psychopaths, so I can't honestly rank it. I need to watch that still.
In Bruges, I think, is still number one for me, but this is...
No, Three Billboards is the best.
Oh, wait, yeah,
Three Not even close. I really like In Bruges a lot. I guess. I
always forget that he does Three Billboards. I don't know why I keep forgetting.
Out of those
because
three...
Because it's American.
Out of those three, I guess it would go... In Bruges, this, and Three Billboards, but again, these are all like great fucking movies, and I need to watch Seven Psychopaths.
You never seen Seven Psychopaths?
No, I mean, I need to watch it for
tremendous.
Decades.
I love that.
Yeah, it's got Tom Waits, bro. You have to watch it.
I know. I want to watch it. It's not like I don't want to watch it. I fucking love this movie. Gogs, you mentioned it, and I talked briefly to Anthony about it. You guys seem to be bothered by the Civil War metaphor in the movie. I'm
not bothered by it. I just too stupid to pick it up.
It didn't bother me at all because they sprinkle the Civil War stuff throughout the entire movie. So I when it came at the end, I was like, yeah, it's fine.
Which Civil War?
The Irish Civil War.
Oh, okay.
Of 1924.
But that rhymes. They're a poet and they didn't even know it.
Make a rhyme every time.
It's really fucking good.
Call me James Joyce.
Sean, you got to watch this fucking movie. It's great. You'll love it.
I love that you pulled an Irish poet, but like I don't think does James Joyce's poetry rhyme?
I'd probably not, but it's the best I could do on short notice.
He's a real Everlast. Anybody?
Mighty Ford.
It's a great movie though. It really is. Like it's I loved it. I loved it to death. I can understand why it's getting all this praise.
Spoiler
alert for my eventual best of list, which I guess we'll get to next week. But It's not number one, but man, it's close. But like, it was really, really fucking good. Those two movies, Pleasure and this, like, just two back-to-back, like, really strong films. So that's all I watched.
Speaking of awards, because after someone sent the TikTok or whatever of I'll get the gentleman's name wrong, so I'm not gonna bother trying. Waymond from Everything Everywhere All at Once. Watching like his acceptance speech for getting like the Golden Globe for like Best Supporting Actor, and then watching Colin Farrell's acceptance speech for getting the Golden Globe for Best Actor in Banshees and Sharon. Like both those dudes just seem like really like nice, humble.
Who would have
like
thunk it with Colin Farrell? You know what I mean? Like,
I think we talked about it when I was talking about the movie last week.
When you watched SWAT in 2002, you didn't think that this guy was going to be a great actor.
Well, he's got the fucking chop. He's got it, man. He's
so good.
Great.
Well, he's able, like, he is a guy who, you know, at first he was cast because he was like the young hot guy, and he was just in these like,
he was like a bad boy, right? Like
meathead.
Like,
yeah, he was just in these like meathead movies, and now like he makes like real fucking movies. You know,
he makes art films, and it's like,
no, I don't necessarily call them art. Well,
not art.
Killing of a Sacred Deer is probably an art film, but
artsier films than
The Lobster.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, he's fucking great, and he's great in this movie, and it's a very like, I don't know, he's kind of like an idiot in this movie, like, but he's like a sweet idiot, like, I don't know, it's very good. I loved it. Also, I don't think I mentioned it, the movie is shot like beautifully, like,
oh yeah,
whoever the cinematographer is in this movie is amazing. Like, the movie looks incredible.
His whole speech about like being nice and that's important, even though Brendan Gleeson doesn't seem to think so. That resonated like hard with me. I was like,
that was the legacy scene I was talking about. Yeah, I love that scene. I thought that scene was amazing, and like, you know, I can relate to that the same way as Sean like talking about it. But like, there is a point that like, I don't know. I listened to an interview with it was with the Mars Volta actually, and they were talking about. The interview was asking about their creative process, and they brought up that Neil Young said that he said that Neil Young felt like whenever he was inspired, he would literally just leave whatever he was doing and go write a song or record a song. So like Neil Young was literally like in the middle of like his best friend's wedding or something and just like left and like, huh?
Nothing. He's in the middle of watching
my best friend wedding. I guess took me a second. But anyway. So they asked, and I can't remember who said it, either Cedric or Omar, but they're like, well, I would never do that. That sounds like if you're not an artist, you just sound like a fucking self-centered asshole. And it's like, yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, you have to like balance things, right? Like I think that I'm going to bring up all these other people, but I remember listening to an interview with, Bret Easton Ellis, and he was talking about how like when he started writing, that like he started acting differently because he felt like, well, this is the way an actor or a writer is supposed to act. Like, and he's like, well, then he realized after he was like kind of famous for being, he's like, oh, I can just be myself. Like, I don't need to act like a certain way.
I'm enough of an ass. Like, I don't need to put anything else on.
He's kind of a dick, but I do love his work.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway. All right, let's get into the movie. This is the longest episode ever. Sorry,
this is going to turn into the Chris Farley show, I think, at least for two of us.
It's three of us.
Wait, you didn't like the movie, Sean?
No, the Chris Farley show. Because I know Gogs loves this movie because I think him and I have bonded on this movie before. Although I hadn't.
You didn't think I liked the movie?
I wasn't sure if you would love it. I figured you would like it.
No. Okay. I've loved this movie for years. This is like this is like back when people were telling me Boondock Saints was a good movie. This is the movie that was on my DVD shelf. It was like,
I still legitimately have this DVD, and I'm sure
I do too, yeah.
It was like lost media. I don't know. Did this movie ever make it to Blu-ray in this region?
I don't think so.
Not that I can find.
But this is like, if we want to talk about like the 1999 early 2000s TJ Ouvra, it was this like Dark City,
Hell yeah.
like Reservoir Dogs, like these were like Sleepers, Mallrats. Well, no, not Sleepers for me, because remember, I didn't see Sleepers until the show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we talked about it. It would have been if I watched it back then, because it was great.
We should do that. We should do our own, like, young man's Criterion collection, because I'm pretty sure Bringing Out the Dead would be in mine as another movie that I fucking, like, love.
I've never seen that movie.
I didn't come around on that movie, Sean, until you brought it up, because I watched it in the theater, and I think the movie just wasn't for me back then. I don't think I understood it. I don't think, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think I was in the right kind of headspace for that movie at the time. But I've since watched it since you brought it up, and I really like that movie now.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say that, like, I really understood, like, it thematically when I was younger. I just, like, it just hit me because I love the actors in it. It was just, like, really frenetic and not, like, it's at the same time not like a typical Scorsese movie, but it is the most Scorsese of Scorsese movies all at once.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get into Strange Days, a cyberpunk classic.
Yeah.
Gogs, what happened in this movie?
So Strange Days, and what's wild is you have to keep in mind that all of the things that happen in this movie happen over the course of 2 days. The movie opens, and it's December 30th, 1999, in a future not far from our own, which was 20 years in the past.
When did this come? This came out in, what, 94, 95?
96, I thought.
96, I was off. I was off by a year.
The movie, how's the movie? Oh, the movie opens with, for anyone who's played Cyberpunk 2077, the movie opens with, Ray Fiennes doing, basically you're treated to like a B&E, like he's going to buy some stuff.
Yeah,
and
he uses, and the whole movie is predicated on these things. If you played Cyberpunk, they're called brain dances, and they lifted the brain dance thing wholesale from this movie. Like, it's not even remotely different. Like, it's a brain dance. Like, it's exactly the same. You experience, like, you are, brain dance is, you as the user are wearing this headset, and they record everything, like all your senses and stuff, and then you can sell that tape to somebody else, and they experience exactly the same thing you experienced.
Yeah, all the physical and emotional sensations, all of that, and it becomes
also,
they use it.
He's also in first person. I don't know if that's important to note. But.
Also, like, I'm glad you mentioned that, Sean, because I think I've gone on record by saying that in general, first person, especially in movies, is death. It always looks terrible. And it never works. This works so well. Like, this opening is so intense. Like,
I think it's the way the color saturation works in it. Like, it's not like, and I guess that becomes important later too. The way the colors work in the brain dance or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's not like real jerky. Like, it's in first person, but it's not like a hardcore Henry thing because it's a pre-GoPro, so they actually had to hold the camera in place.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's very.
It looks great.
It looks great. They did a wonderful job.
Also, am I the only one that it kind of, I don't know if this is intentional or not, but did anyone get hard-boiled feels when they go in and it's a Chinese restaurant and they're holding guns everywhere? I wonder if that was intentional or not, because it felt very hard-boiled, like, right away. I was like, oh shit.
So Ray Fiennes he's experiencing this brain dance of a robbery that's basically. Turns out it goes wrong. Oh no, what happened now?
The Cowboys have missed they just scored again, but they missed 3 extra points in this game.
Well,
3. How is that?
Somebody gonna get executed?
Well, they're up 18-0. It's almost halftime, so.
It's a weird way to get to that score. So now, he's looking at this tape behind the guy who did the thing has died, Ray Fiennes. And then you learn a lot about Ray Fiennes. You learn that he's a dealer in these things. He doesn't like selling snuff, and he doesn't like blackjacks. Is it blackjacks?
Yeah, he does a really good, James Woods impression. Like, I think that's what that voice is supposed to be.
Yeah.
He's great in this fucking movie. The black market, like the snuff BDs or whatever they call them in this movie. They're called decks in this movie, actually.
Yeah.
And more about those kind of terms later. But he doesn't sell black, like he only sells like above
God
the
was right. They're
board.
called blackjacks.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So a blackjack is when the
the deck is what he actually puts the tapes
Correct.
in.
Yeah. A blackjack is like when the user dies, and you basically like the guy who's trying to sell the tapes, like you experience death, man. You experience the black, and he doesn't care for that. But he also doesn't do snuff, where people are actually going to get murdered. In
Or
it.
Caligula's day stuff.
Yeah. So you're introduced to Ray Fiennes and his sort of seedy underworld, and then you get to meet Tom Sizemore, and you find out that they're both used to be cops. They're not cops no more. Sizemore's doing private security, and Ray Fiennes out here, and he's just like a hustler, man. And you're right. It's James. He's very James Woods in Casino, basically. Like he's just kind of a dirtbag, like he's a briefcase full of Rolex guy that's always trying to give you his Rolex, but you know it's fake.
But everybody knows it's fake.
But everyone knows it's fake.
Yeah, not one person bites on his Rolex game at all.
And then you get introduced to this young lady, Iris. And Iris is running around looking all distraught, trying to find what is Ray Fiennes' character's name? I can't think of it.
Lenny Nero.
Lenny Nero.
Everyone has an insane name in this movie.
Which tracks with cyberpunk stuff. It
Like
always
Philo.
Yeah.
Hero protagonist comes to mind.
So she's scared. She's getting tracked down by Vincent D'Onofrio and Movie the Podcast royalty. Oh God, now I can't think of his name. Who's the other cop?
Michael Wincott? Oh no, you're talking about Fichtner.
Yeah,
William Fichtner.
This is another one of our Mount Rushmore of character actors movies. Like it's fucking Fichtner, D'Onofrio, Sizemore, Wincott. Like it is like way up our alley.
It's deep with people we love. So Fichtner and D'Onofrio are trying to find Iris. Iris is scared. They're two cops, and she throws this deck into the back of. She finds Lenny's car, but can't find Lenny. Throws the deck in the car, and then is trying to find him, but he later blows her off. Now, mind you, the background of this entire time is it's the world's about, it's about to be the year 2000, right? What's going to happen? Is the world going to end? Nobody knows. But like shit's, as Sean mentioned in our group text, their quiet apocalypse is a lot milder than the quiet apocalypse we're currently experiencing.
Yeah.
And so, like, there's civil unrest. There's a prolific rapper, Jericho One.
Another part of the movie that was ripped off by Southland Tales. So a hip hopper turned sort of social warrior.
Like a political activist.
He's like a Chuck D.
Like a Chuck D, yeah.
But it's obviously the name's a reference to KRS-One, but like what is fucking hysterical is that the future of hip hop, as foretold by James Cameron and a guy named, I shit you not, Jay Dick, who is a 90-year-old man, is this weird Gil Scott Heron poetry slam thing.
That actor, though, that plays him, I've seen that guy in 1,000.
He's in a ton of stuff.
His name's Glenn something, I believe. But it's like, the LAPD is a military force. And it's like, oh, yeah. Did you ever call it? Yeah, we know. Yeah, that turned out to be accurate.
Yeah.
But, and so he has been recently.
When did this come out? I'm sorry, Gogs.
It came out in 96, I believe.
So this is not far from the LA riots. Like, this is still,
this felt
fairly within
very that realm. LA riot. Like, it felt like they wrote the script around the LA riots. Like,
I'm sorry, 95. But yeah, it's right at the same time, or near, not far. Because the LA riots were 97?
No, it was before that, right?
No, it was before that.
Oh, it was right. Oh, yeah, it was right. I'm sorry.
It was like 92, I think. 92, 91.
Yeah, 91, 92, yeah.
So he has actually this Jericho One has recently been killed in an altercation with the police because he was resisting arrest or whatever, and that's...
Well, no, you don't know that.
Oh, no, well, isn't that the line, though? Isn't that what the TV's saying?
No, they said it's gang-related.
They say it's gang-related. Yeah, they're trying to pin it back on... It's a big reveal when it's the police did it, because that's what they don't want to let out. So.
Oh, my bad. All right. Well,
presumably the police, they know, or I would assume that they knew.
Well, the police chief didn't. So, but more about later. So anyway, all this is going on in the background of the film. And then you're introduced to Lenny's on again, off again. Well, so then he goes home. He's had a shitty night. His car gets, before he can get to the tape that Iris left him, his car is towed because he's late on the payments. So he tries to give the guy a Rolex.
Real quick.
Which has to write him a check.
This movie is filled with hot chicks. Iris is very attractive.
Iris is very
I don't know that actress. But
she's got that Sin City side character vibe going for her. Like, what's the name of the really, really, really good-looking extra in Sin City with the blue eyes and the big cane?
Oh, the one from Gilmore Girls.
Yeah.
So anyway, so his car gets stolen. He's having a shit night. He gets back to his house. He puts on his deck and he watches a bunch of tapes, is what I'll call them, of him and his ex-girlfriend, Faith. Faith played by Juliette Lewis.
Also looks great.
Fantastic.
Very, very big TJ, very big movie crush back in the day. Between this, California, and Natural Born Killers.
Dust Till Dawn.
Oh yeah, forgot about her.
She plays like a kid in Dust Till Dawn, though, right?
She's not really hot. She's not really hot in that movie.
Like a hot
she's
child.
not hot. Yeah, she's not
in the
hot.
city.
She's a very attractive child. So then now it's the next day, and they're like,
movie, she's kind of always topless.
Yeah, it's wild. She's wearing like a chainmail. Like it's like
I'm confused as to the move in the memory where she wets her tits just to be dried. I guess that was some kind of weird, awkward foreplay. I don't know what that was.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing. I was like, it was like the script had like take a shower, but she's like gross in real life, and she's like, I don't want to take a shower. Yeah. All right, well, just improvise.
Sponge down, I guess.
Yeah, just act like you have to shock your tits out of something. I don't know. Like, isn't that seem much easier if because they're at the beach that she's just wet from the ocean? Like,
yeah.
Also, her outfit is fucking wild. It's like a sweater with like a thong.
She's got like serious like Olivia Newton-John things happening over there.
Doesn't she have like socks on too? Like it's or like what do you call those? Yeah, those like
leg
warmer things. Yeah, it's like a sweater and a G-string and leg warmers. What the hell?
I mean, it's an outfit. It's a fit.
It's a fit.
She's wearing like a Rob Liefeld era outfit.
Yes, absolutely.
Like it is gear that Boom Boom would wear like right before X-Force started.
So he does this until the next day, and then there's messages from Iris, and he's not picking them up, and then he's going to go start his next day, and he finds out that, I forget now. This is where I get a little lost. He's running around. Iris is trying to get a hold of him, says Faith's in trouble. He goes to see Faith, and then you're introduced to Michael Wincott's character. He
wants any excuse to go see. Like, he cannot get over.
No, he can't give over. Yeah. So Michael Wincott is the manager of Jericho 1, the late, great Jericho 1, and he's the current manager of Faith, who is an up-and-coming singer, I guess.
Michael Wincott walked directly off the set of The Crow in character and just dropped into this movie.
Yeah, just shirtless, but like in a kimono.
He rocks in this movie, though. He's so good in this movie.
Movie also borders on, I think Dog's Coin in Crow City of Angels taking place in a pervert dimension. It's another one of these, like, impossible, like, Frank Miller punk / hip-hop / S&M clubs.
That club is so awesome, and there's half of like in one corner like the fucking Rectum from Irreversible is going on, and then there's like an industrial concert, and then there's like people getting like piercings. Like, what the fuck?
But they're getting piercings from like a 9mm or something. Like, I don't understand what this activity is that's going on over there.
It's awesome though. Like, I love that scene. Like, I love the introduction of it. This movie does a really great job with the world building. Like, I love it.
You know exactly where you are.
Oh yeah,
1,000%.
Now, I think this is also a scene where he approaches Michael Wincott, approaches Faith. He's going to get beat up by a former running back from the Rams. And then
pause real quick, Dogs. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Is that guy that plays Tick? Is he also in The Crow? That guy's in a ton of shit. Like,
the guy who plays Tick was in Mario Brothers.
Yeah. Is he not in The Crow? Okay.
I don't believe he's in The Crow.
Wasn't that guy? That guy was in fucking Good Morning Vietnam movie. The guy that played.
He was in Good Morning Vietnam. Yeah.
I I was like, I know that guy.
I think you're thinking of Paul Rubens for Buffy the Vampire
No, I know
Slayer.
he was in. I thought maybe they were both. I don't know. That guy has been in a ton of shit though.
He's been in a bunch of shit.
And Tick's the guy who sells the brain dances to Ray Fiennes so he can deal them. I guess in this scene, the best way to describe it is that this nightclub has a video DJ that just shows images like throughout the club set to music of like just things happening, and Ray Fiennes goes to visit him.
If you went to any kind of like proto hipster bar in Baltimore in circa 2002 or 3, they were all like this. I think of Shorty specifically.
That was a real thing. I mean, they used to do that at the 930 Club. That's how, believe it or not, I'm glad you mentioned this actually. That is how I got introduced to Tetsuo the Iron Man, because I was at the 930 Club, like probably around when I was 19 or 18 years old. And they had Tetsuo playing on one of the TVs, and I was like, what the fuck is that? And the rest is history.
Well,
I spent like $70 on the VHS tape.
So he goes to visit this guy, give the guy the guy doesn't have any legs anymore, so he gives him a deck of him running in the ocean and saying what's up to some hot broad, as just sort of a thank you birthday gift or some nonsense. And then he's like, oh, someone left you this, and it's a tape or a deck or whatever. And he goes about his business, and I don't think he thinks much of it, because that deck ends up being the Iris snuff deck, correct?
A tape.
Yes. It's a tape.
Excuse me, tape. The deck is how you play.
The deck is the machine.
Right. And now you're introduced, I believe at this point in the movie, you're introduced to Angela Bassett's character, who is like Lenny's probably only friend and the only person with any sort of morality in the entire movie.
Well, she also loves him, like, romantically.
She's very much in love with Lenny.
And I'm going to put this out on Front Street, like, talking about movie crushes. Angela Bassett as Mace / Molly Millions in this movie is like one of my like all-time movie crushes. She is impossibly hot in this movie.
She's ridiculously hot in this movie.
Just like, ripped and fucking like very like pronounced like facial features, like jawbone, and like I'm into it. I'm 1,000% down.
She's great in this movie too.
Fuck a dude up.
She's very like, her acting in this is like very like theatrical, but it works really well in this movie.
Yeah, she's in like a karate version of Raisin in the Sun for half the movie.
Yeah, but she's really good at it. Like, it works.
So, between Lenny just getting roughed up by Michael Wincott's crew and kicked out and fucked around, and then Mace kind of picking him up off his ass and shit, he kind of fucks his way through this film trying to, figure out what he's going to do until he's finally like, oh yeah, someone gave me this thing. He like reaches into his pocket, finds this deck, or finds this tape. He puts the tape on, and the tape this is probably like one of the most uncomfortable, and credit to Ray Fiennes for making just selling it on this, but I mean, it is like one of the most horrific, uncomfortable things probably put to film conceptually, ever. It's the murder of Iris through the eyes of the killer.
This fucking scene is fucking brutal. I mean, this is one of the most brutal fucking rape scenes I think I've ever seen. Like, it is awful.
And
it is like
from rape scenes.
Yeah, I'm the what do you want to say? The preeminent
Mid-Atlantic rape scene expert.
Like it's like, I don't want to ever downplay. I'm not trying to downplay anything, but I'm saying like it's horrific, not for its violence and its brutality, which are bad, but it's horrific from the approach of how it was conducted.
Yeah.
Like, it is the most awful, like, if you take a step back, I mean, they don't even have to take a step back, because they walk you through it, they explain it, but if you take and just think about what is actually being done in this scene, it is
yeah. So
awful.
The killer and rapist has one of those brain dance machines, and he puts it on the victim's head so they can see their own death while it's happening and feel.
Like, they're blindfolded and they're getting a live stream from their perspective with their emotions.
Yeah.
Like, I guess coexisting, because you still have your own emotions, but like the
It's a fucking crazy concept. It's a fucking
concept.
wild concept. Yeah,
it's
It's
horrifying.
fucking brutal, and it's really long. Like, that scene goes on and on and on. It's like, all right, like, cut away. Like, it's a very uncomfortable scene.
So now Ray Fiennes is like, he's like, oh my God, now what? Like, this happened to Iris. Iris said something bad's gonna happen to Faith. What's going on? I gotta put two and two together. Iris said, then he listens to a message, I think, and the message is about the tape, that Iris left him. So he's like, I gotta get my car back. So he goes to the impound lot and he goes to go get his, so he shows Tom Sizemore the tape, and Tom Sizemore's like, okay, we gotta figure this out. We gotta work this. We're cops. We know how to do this. He shows, I want to say Twitch, but his name's not Twitch. Yeah. He shows him the thing, and he's all fucked up with it, but he's like, it's like he's got like that weird, like, you know, like when you watch drug movies and there's like the junkie scientist who's clearly strung out, but they're very into their craft, so they know exactly what's going on. He's got that kind of vibe, like, and he's like, all right, well, here's what the guy's got going on. Like, and you can tell by the brain dance, by the recording, it's like the guy's colorblind, like, because the colors are fucked up in the thing. And like, he was able to give him like some really interesting insight about who this guy could be. Then he's like, all right, we're going to go find our tape about, you know, that Iris left me. And then they break in to the impound lot. They get their tape back. And then as they show up there, they are getting harassed by Fichtner and D'Onofrio. So they narrowly escape.
Is one way to put it.
Yeah. They narrowly escape, those two, and they get off and about, and they look at the tape, and the tape is Iris, from Iris's perspective, in a Jeep with Jericho 1. And she's with Jericho 1, when he is pulled over by Fichtner and D'Onofrio. He's harassed and basically, you know, talks back to the cops and says, I'm going to have your ass and have your badge and this, that, and the other. And then they murder him in the streets, and she witnesses it. And they start shooting they shoot Jericho 1's boy, and they shoot Iris's friend, and Iris gets away. And she's like, I got to do something with this tape. And she gives it to Lenny. And then you find out, that Lenny finds out through later from Faith that, Philo, which is the wildest name ever for Michael Wincott's character, Philo is all worried that he's become really paranoid. He's become hooked on brain dances, and he's all paranoid that his artists are going to leave him. So he is trying to get insight. So he paid Iris to get wired up and basically be a spy for him on Jericho 1.
Did you also he has hired Tom Sizemore to follow Faith around also?
Yeah, he'd also hired, I may have touched, if I glossed over that, I apologize. He's also hired, Tom Sizemore to follow Faith. And all this is happening over the course of 48 hours, might I add. So the cops have been trying to get to the cops realize there's a tape of them killing, I'm going to call him KRS-One, Jericho 1. So they're trying to get the tape back. The killer, right? They put two together that the killer is not the cops. The killer is whoever paid for the tape, because that guy knows what's up. He realized how bad this is. He needs to break the chain. So that he must have paid to kill Iris. So then they like, okay, well, obviously Philo's the bad guy here. At some point, earlier, they go back to visit Flick again, and his brain's been burned out by somebody using one of these decks.
I love this thing. They do it twice in the movie, but they don't kill him. They just overload his brain. So like he's still technically alive, but like his brain is just soup because they've like overstimulated his brain.
They scrambled his eggs. Also, at some point in this, Ray Fiennes gets real drunk and passes out, and Mace leaves him be, and the killer leaves him a brain dance of him.
They do such a great job of showing how shitty just his life is in shambles. Like there is Chinese food containers everywhere in his fucking apartment. Like, it is horrifying.
And so the killer's like, he got up to his neck and held a knife to his neck and then left that tape for him to frighten him, scare him off, whatever. So he's like, oh shit, I gotta get Philo. People are dying. This tape's gonna blow the world, blow everything wide open. Faith is performing at this New Year's Eve celebration somewhere in LA. They're like, all right, we got to go to this thing. Mace get prettied up. I'm gonna get prettied up. We're all gonna go. And then basically there's this really great scene between Ray Fiennes and Angela Bassett where he's like, look, I'll trade this tape away to make sure that Faith is safe. And Angela Bassett's like, that tape is more important than one woman. And, I love you, but this can't be where, you're not going to trade away the truth for that woman who doesn't care about you.
So, pause from the future, from this movie, but did anybody else feel a little bad when they're like, this tape will change the world, and then you think about, oh, well, we have footage of cops killing people in video and it didn't do a goddamn thing?
Well, because they touch on at the beginning that the technology was originally for body cams, basically. It was the predictive of body cams, and it's like, oh yeah, that doesn't fucking matter now either.
No, nobody cares. It was when they gave out that line, I was like, oh, that's fucking depressing.
Yeah.
And also, this is where we get the sample from Fatboy Slim's Right Here, Right Now, which, when she says, this is your life right here, right now, you immediately, I know that from somewhere. I was like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, so then he gives her the tape and the deck. He's like, listen, there's one cop that's not a piece of shit. He's standing over there. He kicked me out. Take the tape. Go give it to him. If you don't hear from me, then that's it. That's the end of it. I'll deal with Philo myself. So she's off doing that. He's running parallel, going to confront Philo, try and get Faith back. He finds another tape, and the tape appears to be Faith about to go through the exact same execution rape as what happened to Iris, but it's done for kinky kicks because no one gets killed. And when they look in the mirror, you find out it's Tom Sizemore. So now he's all freaked out. He's like, what the fuck is this? What's my boy doing? He goes up to the room. He expects to find Faith dead. She's not dead. It's Philo. His brain's also been scrambled. And then you're kind of given the sort of the monologuing of how we got here was.
Normally I hate this Bond conceit but he's so much fun in this scene, it's hard not to love it.
It's just this is a very noir. This movie's a neo-noir, and the villain going through, well, I fooled you guys because this is the reveal. That's very noir,
He's so dry, though. He's and then when you kill Philo, and he's like, well, what makes you think I'm going to kill Philo? And he just shoots him and goes, well, you just did.
Yeah.
So, he's setting up, the goal is to set up Ray Fiennes as the killer and pin all the crimes on him because he's in possession of all the tapes and he's in possession of all the stuff, and who's to say otherwise? All the other people that could are dead. Basically, Philo paid Tom Sizemore to kill Iris and to kill Faith, but Tom Sizemore figured he could parlay that into getting laid, which is incredibly based.
And he was correct.
And he did get laid.
He did because I kind of feel bad for Faith. I know she's played as a scumbag, but she's just getting exploited this entire movie.
Doing. I don't know.
She knows what she's doing, but I think she's just fighting for her survival. She's not really into Tom Sizemore.
I didn't get that vibe at all.
I thought she's really just kind of a shit. She has agency in this movie. Because even it's oh, choose him and you want to go away, and oh, choose me, and she's just kind of doing whatever.
I thought the choose me, choose him scene was to protect. I mean, that was obviously to protect.
No, but think about that scene earlier where he's you're like a fucking cruise missile pointed at success, and you'll make it. And she's like, I know I will. She is
I think she's just playing everyone that she can. I think
she's
I don't know.
She's a femme fatale, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's her function.
Well, I mean, I just sort of figured, like, I didn't buy, maybe I misread it. I didn't buy that she was really into Sizemore. I thought she was just doing what she had to do to not get murdered.
Oh, I don't think she's into him, but I don't think it's even like she's doing what she's got to do to not get murdered. I think she's just doing, like, what she's got to do to make
just
it.
To be on top.
Yeah,
that's fair. That explains why she gets arrested at the end, which is kind of like, okay. So this all goes down. They end up getting into a big fight, and Sizemore ends up taking a 30-story belly flop into a car on New Year's Eve, like as the ball's dropping, as the Sizemore's dropping. We ring in the New Year, and meanwhile Mace she's handed over the tape, and then she's found these two cops have like found her. She fights them off. She handcuffs them, and then you get this really kind of upsetting scene where all the cops come to try and save the two bad cops because they don't know any better, and they just start.
Also, they're cops, so
right.
And
they start beating Angela Bassett.
Like, they Rodney King her. Like, I don't think that's
not intentional. Yeah.
And then the police chief comes to her aid, saves her. Presumably, those two cops get put away.
Did you not watch the movie, Dogs?
Yeah. Oh, right. I'm sorry. They did not get put. They get put away in the sense of
they got put away. They got put away. Yeah.
Right.
Fichtner puts himself away.
Fichtner puts himself away.
And then you know what? This movie, like, I was like, okay, they're gonna do it. They're gonna go without, and then D'Onofrio has to sneak it in at the end, but you knew it was coming. Was the big old N-word.
Yeah.
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 Had to get ready.
And then, so that's the end of their story. And then, the New Year's getting rung in, and it seems like the Angela Bassett and Ray Fiennes are going to go their separate ways, but then they embrace and kiss, and maybe he'll learn to love her. I don't know how to read that because she loves him, but
Lenny
he doesn't love her.
He's just going to...
Hey, Lenny only looks out for Lenny.
Yeah, Lenny's just going to keep fucking up. I think that's his whole character, right? Like he's like, as you see in the flashback, and I really like the flashback where they show why him and Mace have a connection, where he's like there with her kid. Like he's got good intentions, but he can't get out of his own way of just being a shit. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I think he's kind of cursed forever. Like, I don't think their romance will never work. But
no, but but that's it. That's Strange Days. It's a cyberpunk neo-noir with an impeccable cast, an amazing setting, and it's a frenetic. I mean, the movie is long.
Yeah, for a 2.5 hour movie, it moves. Like,
it moves at a clip. I'm not bored the entire time. And I've seen this movie I've seen this movie repeatedly, and I'm still kind of like, I know how it resolves itself, and I'm like, I'm still kind of on the edge of my seat because it's so well done.
I think the thing to me that's really crazy too is that, like, this is, and I said it last week and I've said it a bunch today. I mean, this is a very big cyberpunk movie, but it's kind of like aesthetically the least cyberpunk movie. Like, you don't got like the drenched in neon. You don't have like the like, it is in a future, but like it's not like very futuristic, like, and you don't even have like the kind of retro futurism you have in a lot of cyberpunk movies. Sean said it to me analog, but it's right. It's almost like it feels like there was a version of the script that looked a lot different, and maybe they were worried that wouldn't sell, so they kind of stripped everything out of it except for the brain dances, like, because that's really the only science fiction-y thing in here.
No, all the guns, all the cars. It's just a gritty dystopian, like, it's kind of like, not like Looper. Like Looper, they kind of made the future still gritty, but sort of like you couldn't see it from here.
But you still had like future cars and stuff in Looper, didn't you? Didn't they have like hover cars?
They had like regular cars that had like extra shit strapped to them.
Her limousine had like this weird grill on the headlights that I think is supposed to be representative of something not quite right. You know what I mean? Like something a little bit different.
But also when they wrote it, they only wrote it 4 years prior, right? We're not talking about leaps and leaps and
I know. But I still feel like, and Sean said this, and I agree with him. I think that there is a version of this movie somewhere that was like way more like conceptually, like fitting with the rest of the plot. Like, I don't know. Not that I say it does, it still works. And I'll let Sean get into this point because I didn't even realize it until he brought it up. But this movie is Neuromancer. Like, it's absolutely.
Well, like, I don't think it's unreasonable to like assume, because James Cameron has, you know, gone at William Gibson stuff before, like, I'm trying to, what was the other? There's some William Gibson story he used off. TJ made the point that he blatantly ripped off Harlan Ellison. So, like, James Cameron is aware of science fiction, like, outside of what he makes.
He ripped off Harlan Ellison so hard, Harlan Ellison won a lawsuit. Because,
damn.
Yeah, Terminator is a ripoff.
Saturday and the Glass Hand or something, I think, are the two stories.
Punchy titles there, Harlan. But but yeah,
I have no mouth with which was it, and yet
I have no mouth, but I'm gonna scream. That's fucking awesome. Where's the James Cameron version of that? But oh my god, the Cowboys just scored again. This is a fucking bloodbath. Anyway,
Case and Molly Millions are Lenny and Mace. Like, I don't think it's unintentional that Mace and Case rhyme. Like, Case in the book is this kind of like, he's a hotshot hacker dickhead, but he's also like a ne'er-do-well kind of, if I recall right, doesn't he have some lady he's pining after, like, that left him or something before he gets hooked up with Armitage and all that?
I don't think you're never introduced to her, but he talks about her in the beginning,
But there's a scene in Neuromancer where they go hang out on a satellite ship with a bunch of space Jamaican, like actual Rastafarians. Yeah. And I think, maybe I'm pulling too much, but I think Mace's sister or cousin's house is a stand-in for that when they go to the most, like, 90s South Central LA of settings that they possibly can.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah,
I definitely agree. Also, the thing that they use is for the brain dances is called a deck. In Neuromancer, the computer interfaces are called decks. Like,
and like it's like you said, it's like he wanted to do Neuromancer, but it's like all this like fucking AI and the Dixie Flatline and all this like other like crazy bullshit. Like, this isn't going to make a straight movie, because this is still a very straight movie. Besides the central conceit, there's nothing really fantastical about this. Also, like, James Cameron sort of based in this movie for like the police state thing and how like black people in America are treated, like, and it's not like he doesn't like both sides it either. Like, I think it's not very clear which side this movie is on, even though like there's still the one good cop, but he's still like a shithead.
Right.
But I was telling TJ offline, guys, I don't know if you had this kind of memory of it. Is like, I would have sworn if you had asked me that this movie ends with her like getting the footage on the screen and that's what causes a riot.
I thought that there was but then like basically her getting beat up kind of almost sets the spark.
And it's weirdly prescient, man. Like, there's that scene where they are vaguely rioting, and the one guy's got the riot helmet. And he's like holding it up like a skull, and like that's images we've seen recently. Like. We never finished the job, but like, we started it at least.
Yeah.
I fucking like, no bullshit. Like, I loved this movie, and like every time I watch it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is like one of my favorite movies, and like nobody gives a shit about it. Like, nobody ever talks about this movie.
Well, no. Again, this is a movie that's kind of lost the time. This is a movie that didn't come out on Blu-ray, that like, I don't know what it is about Catherine Bigelow movies, but like they kind of just go away. Like, she's done like a lot of great movies. And like, even though this is like kind of a crazy movie, like, this is definitely a movie I recommended to a lot of people back in the day, and everyone's like, yeah, that movie is really cool. Like, she makes like crowd pleasing movies, like to a certain crowd. Well, and like, I don't understand why her stuff just kind of fades, like, or has faded. Like, it's wild to me.
Well, I mean, I can tell you why this one didn't do well, or why it faded. It made $8 million on a $42 million budget.
Oof.
Yeah. But I mean, a lot of movies have had second life on like home video back then.
No doubt. Like, I'm a champion of this film. I think this movie fucking rules.
I think all the performances are great. Like, Ralph Fiennes is like effortlessly like in this role. He is that guy. Like, And I mean, he's doing a weird thing with his voice, but it's not like a Benedict Cumberbatch, like, I wonder who you're talking, I'm an American. Right. I don't get that vibe from him.
No, but he's such like a good, like, sort of Weasley, mousy kind of like he's a talker. Like he's not an action hero that's gonna. He's a scumbag.
He reminds me of Jack Nicholson in Chinatown because he constantly gets his ass beat in this movie, like all the time. Like it's kind of great.
You're still kind of with him though. Like I don't, even though like he's just like kind of the worst. Like I'm still kind of on his side, Well,
he's sympathetic. Because like he's not a pure scumbag. He's not a complete piece of shit.
Well, even in his like dealings, he has like a morality, right?
He has a code.
He's not.
Man got to have a code.
Like the worst people. He's not the worst person.
But he's fucking amazing in it. Sizemore's amazing in it.
Guys, Dallas has just missed yet another extra point.
Did they not have other kickers?
Does he have money on the under or something? Like, what's going on? This is true.
Are we shaving points? What are we doing?
He's missed 4 extra. They're up 24-0, and he's missed 4 extra points.
Why not just not going for 2?
I don't know. And why aren't they just going for 2?
He's proven his point.
I don't even how is that even possible?
I've never seen that before. Like, I don't even know if the last time I can recall seeing 2, let alone fucking 4.
Yeah, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
I guess they've only scored touchdowns, so they haven't lined them up for a field goal yet.
I mean, good thing that Tampa hasn't done dick in this whole game, and
this is the NFL. Nothing is safe.
I mean, it's you got 10 minutes. This is great podcasting, by the way. You got 10 minutes in the third, and it's 24-0. So I don't know.
I think anyway, the 8 people that listen to the show know we break to talk about football all the time.
When the Bucs come back to win this one, and people listen to this podcast, they'll be like, "I was there."
Let's get into 5 knuckle shuffles. I have a pretty good feeling. I know where everybody's going to land.
Is anyone here not a 10?
No.
Mine isn't a 10.
Okay. Then you go.
It's a 9.
Because I'm going to glow.
It's a 9. I really, really like this movie a lot. I feel like there's a little bit of clunkiness towards the middle, but I still really, really like it. It's like I said, it's a 9. It's a great movie. It's a movie I'm like happy to say that like I revisited and was like, man, this is great. Like I don't know, like we've talked about this a 1,000 fucking times, but like how nice is it to watch something that's like original and creative, right? Like this doesn't feel like it's trying to like fill a checklist of things. Like it just feels like a cool fucking movie. Like I love the characters. Like there's a lot of characters in this movie. They're all great. I love the world building. I love the setting. I love the music. There's the great soundtrack in this movie too.
Oh yeah. Very odd too.
Which I don't think we talked about. Yeah, it's not like filled with like industrial music like you think it would be. There's a couple of industrial tracks, but I just love it. The direction's really cool. Like I just really enjoy I really like this movie a lot. It's a 9 for me, dog. Really, really enjoyable movie. One of the better like lost movies from the 90s for sure. Crazy that more people haven't seen this movie. I say this every time. Shout Factory, come on, give us a nice
rights. Please.
Give us a nice, because I don't know. I think this is on Shudder now and possibly Hulu.
It's on HBO Max.
It's on HBO Max.
On HBO, right, okay. Well, did you watch it on Max?
Yeah,
I watched it on HBO Max. Yeah.
Because if you watch the one on my Plex, like I don't know what the transfer of that was from, but like it's not bad, but the audio is a little weird on it. So like I wanted to watch like a cleaner version. So I guess maybe I'll check out the Max version. But it's an awesome movie, man. It really is. Sean has said this before, but this is a movie for guys who like movie. Like this is just a fucking kick-ass like neo-noir, man. It's a lot of fun. And Tampa just fumbled the ball, and they're down at the 20. Jesus Christ. Oh, boy.
Well.
I just don't want to listen to Cowboys fans for a week. Like, God, they're the worst.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Sean.
It's a 10 for me, champion. Like, I fucking adore this movie. It's like, it's this weird balancing act, right? Because it's like a normie ass movie, like which normally I'm like hot and cold on. It
Sure.
it doesn't have like the kind of jank I appreciate in movies of this era. Really, like it's very professionally done. Like there's nothing like, oh, that's weird. Like what was up with that? Like I guess the closest thing would be like the Juliette Lewis musical performances, but even those aren't like distracting.
Oh,
Like, nothing takes me.
we never really talked about her. I actually love those musical interludes. Like, I thought they
Yeah.
were kind of fun, yeah.
The songs are super weird. Like, it's like nothing takes me out. There's no point in this movie where I'm like, like that doesn't work for me. Like, even the fucking, like, they set everything up so well. Like, when he's with, the businessman they pick up, he's like, don't worry, I'm here with the security, the car's bulletproof, and like, the Rolexes come back a couple times, like his briefcase with the tapes and muffins in it come back, like everything
pause real quick. I couldn't remember. For some reason, I thought her car was all tricked out and shit, and then I was like, oh wait, did they lift this for fucking Cyberpunk 2? Because it reminded me of the Delamain car, but no.
It was. I mean, it was tricked out, and it was.
But it wasn't like it wasn't like the Delamain car is like they had like combat mode. So.
But they go hard as shit when they pull up. It's like fucking the training day.
Bro, that sequence is awesome. And then like when they the car's on fire and she just like flings herself off the dock. That was so great.
And he's like, that was great. And he's like, she's like, the fire's out.
It was awesome.
I mean, like, like this movie, like, it does have like a slightly weird conceit, but it is like totally normal. And like you said, you can recommend it to anybody. Like there's nothing like it isn't and this isn't a knock on the movie, but this isn't the Timothy Stambaugh Sr. thing of like a movie I got to pay attention to.
Right.
Like, it's not like watching fucking Primer or something. Like it's not strange in that way, but like it fits really well. Like, it's almost like the original Blade Runner, like, in a way that, like, it has this one semi-fantastical conceit, and the rest of the movie is, like, really grounded. You know what I mean?
I agree. That's a good way to put it.
But it's not I love Blade Runner, and I know you guys do too, but it's not nearly as boring of a movie, if you want to recommend it to somebody. Like, I have nothing but good things to say about this movie.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Gods.
I mean, it's a 10. I can't, like, from the moment, I don't know why. I know Ray Fiennes is in this movie, but for some reason, whenever I think about this movie, I think it stars Stephen Dorff. I don't know why.
That's tornado.
Weird.
I think there might have been, like, maybe he was in a movie that came out, like, the same time that had, like, a similar name, but, like, for the moment this movie starts, I'm like, this movie fucking bangs. Like I'm there 100%. I can't objectively review this movie because I just love it. So I remember this is one of those movies that I remember like as a kid, not as a kid because it came out in the late 90s, but as a young man, like renting the VHS of it and being like, oh, what's this about? It's got a kind of a interesting cover and just being like blown away and like why is no one talking about this movie? Like this movie rules. But no one does. Like, I bet you could poll, well, maybe not our group of friends, but you could probably poll, most people you meet, like, do you ever see Strange Days? And odds are they probably are going to say no.
Oh, 1,000%,
which is a shame. Catherine Bigelow is really good at her craft. The acting, I mean, we're just going to go on and on, but the acting's great. The character actors in this movie are great. Even in their small-ish, pivotal to plot, but smallish from a screen time perspective, D'Onofrio and Fichtner are excellent. Like, I have no complaints. It's not a perfect movie. I know that. I'm not stupid, but it's a 10 for me, dog. I love it.
I'd be curious to know what Alex thought of this movie, especially because of how long it is.
Also, Alec doesn't do well with like the super. Like, I think that like a lot of these characters being so reprehensible, and specifically that one scene that we talked about that goes on for a while, I think that might have just taken him out of the movie. Like, I have a lot more tolerance for that kind of shit, and I don't know. Again, there's nothing wrong with having a problem with a scene like that. I mean, you kind of should have a problem with a scene like that. I think that's why it's there. But even I was like, it goes very hard in the paint. And I think it's interesting because, like, there's a woman that's directed that. You know what I mean? Like, you hear that a lot, like, specifically with somebody like Gaspar Noé, where it's like, oh, he directed this and this is, male, like a male doesn't have the right to make something like that. And then you see, like, a woman made this and it's every bit as fucking brutal. Like, it's pretty tough.
It's like a woman made American Psycho, right?
Well, but she misunderstood the text, in my opinion. But, anyway, in my personal opinion, but no, I mean, it's brutal, and I feel like that scene is more brutal with the context, like Gog said, of what's actually happening in the scene, Like, it's already bad on the surface level, and then they go the extra step and go, well, yeah, and the victim is feeling this, like, 2 times over. It's like, Jesus Christ. Like, so, it does the thing where it both shows and tells you why it's, like, horrendous, which is kind of amazing. Like, usually I would say that's, like, too much, but it works.
Yeah.
It makes you really hate, what's the, we forgot to mention. There's one thing we forgot to mention that I loved in this movie. And you know what? I'm going to retroactively bump it up a point because I love this so much.
Hell yeah.
There we go.
So it's a 10 all the way around.
There we go.
They explain Tom Sizemore's awful wig that he has through the whole movie. Because he's wearing one of the fucking brain dance things on his head because he's recording the whole time. And he's covering it with his terrible wig. That looks so bad in the whole movie. It's distracting how bad it is. And they fucking explain it away in like the last 2 minutes of the movie. You're like, oh, okay.
Well, now that you mentioned it, another thing that's great about this is like Ralph Fiennes' ties are like a point of like joke in this movie nonstop, and it ends up being this like very serious plot point at the end.
I kind of love that, but it's a great movie, man. It really is. It's a fucking classic.
Yeah. So shout out to Catherine Bigelow.
All right.
Way to get it done. Also, I like that. Shout out to Catherine Bigelow 2 times because in Near Dark, when they're running through the streets, on the marquee in the movie behind him is the marquee for Aliens, which I love, and most of the cast was in Near Dark, so I think that's hilarious.
Yeah. So, and James Cameron co-wrote this movie, which is interesting. I wonder if he was supposed to direct it at one point.
No, what he co-wrote? He co-wrote this?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, they were married or dating at the time. They were together for a long time.
Yeah. Also, so the Plex will because the Plex is awesome. It curates like reviews of anything you put on there. So like it had like Rotten Tomato reviews, and the first one that was like a negative review, or no, I think it was actually a positive review. But basically the whole review was just talking about James Cameron, and it's like infuriating because it's just like, this isn't a James Cameron movie. Like, put some fucking shine on Catherine Bigelow, like the actual director. Like, it's kind of fucked up.
At least talk about Jay Cock, like.
Right.
Right.
It's funny because in that movie, Pleasure, one of the first credited names on screen is a guy named Chris Cock.
Yeah.
And I believe he's one of the porn stars. But so this guy is.
It is baffling that the movie only has a 66% on Rotten Tomatoes because, like, I don't know what it is that, like, a normal reviewer would not like,
The general negative reviews said it was boring, which I didn't understand
You're out of your
at all.
fucking mind.
I didn't get it whatsoever, but anyway.
This is such like a wonderfully realized world to get lost in. Like, it's, how are you not just captivated by just what's going on? Just like picking apart the weird shit that's going on around you.
Yep, I totally agree. It's fantastic. It's one of those movies where like I like the world and the character so much. Like I could have dealt with it with the more Lenny Nero. Give me Strange Days 2. Like I loved it. Also, like I don't know. I guess it was from the marketing. I remember like the whole end of the world thing being more important in this movie, but I think that might just be how they marketed it, because it really isn't. Like, that's not really the point of the movie at all. It's a much smaller movie than that. But anyway, it's great. And what's happened next week is the Molies, right?
Next week's the Molies. I guess someone's going to send out what the format is. I forget. Do we still have that somewhere?
I'm sure
I gotta watch like a bunch of movies.
I think I still have it in my Google Docs. So if not, I'm sure Alec does. But yeah, I'm excited. Sean, you got to watch a bunch of stuff. Have you watched Crimes of the Future yet?
No, I gotta watch that. I gotta watch
that.
Banshees.
Banshees.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, get the.
Have you watched Men?
No,
Oh yeah, watch
that.
Men.
Like I got a cram.
Well, you always watch Men. We're talking about the film.
I think the only thing I want to watch that I still haven't. I gotta watch that Weird Al movie.
The Men thing, the best joke Kevin Smith ever wrote was the fucking, it was in Zack and Miri, where it's like, I mean, movies for men starring only men. What, like Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross?
Yeah, that was a good joke. That was his last good movie. That movie was pretty funny. I'd like
that part of the joke is excellent, but he fucks it up with that button more like Glenn fucks Gary and Ash and Glenn watches. It's like, you booted it, man.
You had it. You fucking had it.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway. All right, everybody. That's the show. Next week, the Moleys.
Dak Prescott.
What, he get walloped? Good.
I mean, they're down 28-0. Like, this is Dunzo.
Yeah. Why is Dak Prescott still even?
Oh no, I'm sorry, they're winning. Yeah. Nope. I had it. Yeah. I'm dumb.
Oh, I thought he just got.
No. No, I got the score.
Oh no, they're good.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Tom Brady. Have fun being a Raider next year or whatever dumb bullshit you're gonna do. But
was this worth losing Gisele Bundchen over? Find out next week.
I mean, he already he plowed her enough, and now he has a son that he's in love with.
Hot take, not that hot. I never.
Well, medium take. She's not that hot if you're one of the most famous people in the world.
Yeah. I don't know. There's like model types, like specifically her, like Instagram model, different. You know,
like with a big fat ass, like that's what I
models are all thin and waifish.
But she was built in the previous model years when that was not the. Give me
the chick that's delivering groceries in that Target Facebook ad.
Yes, absolutely. Oh yeah,
with the gigantic bottom.
Or like, I like a little, like, what was the only, like, model, like a Tyra Banks back in the day?
Yeah, I'm more of a Megan Thee Stallion type.
Oh, yeah. Like, or Kate Upton.
Kate Upton would do it for you, I suppose.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't like wafer thin chicks. That's not for me. Or if they're thin, they better have enormous boobs.
So Tom Brady,
this is Man the podcast. This is a podcast for men. We talk about women.
Strictly, this is for our male audience.
Yeah, because I'm so hot. I've spent 0 hours, literally 0 hours of my life trying to improve myself or my body, and I'm critiquing women.
She ain't that hot.
Right. I've literally never, ever in my entire life, never put any effort into improving anything about my physical appearance. And
Gisele Bundchen, I can guarantee you, has never got her pubic hair caught in her belt buckle like I have. So, I don't know that. I'm in position to fucking cast aspersions on anybody.
Jesus Christ. All right, everybody. That's the show. Looking forward to next week. We got a lot to talk about in the year that was 2022. An interesting year for movies, I think. A lot of good, a lot of bad.
Back now? Like, we went through so many years of, like, just shit
movies
not being
back,
out
baby.
And, like, yeah.
I think they are. I don't know. I feel like looking back this year, I was like, there's a lot of pretty good stuff.
I feel like it's got like much like real 2022. There's a shrunken middle class. I've got the elites and I've got the dregs, but like the middle of the road movies, not as like it's a tighter window.
This year is going to be nuts. You got a new Jonathan Glazer movie coming out. You got an Ari Aster movie coming out.
Wick coming out.
You got a new Jonathan Wick coming out. You got a Brandon Cronenberg movie coming out next week.
I think Riley Stearns has got a new movie coming out this year. I hope that actually comes out this year.
Who?
About Riley Stearns, the guy that made Fracture or whatever.
Oh, and, the guy that had a movie come out last year that I still haven't watched.
Was it last year where it's like
Duel?
Duel, yeah, where they make the clones that have to fight each other.
It's on the Plex. It's been out. I don't know why I haven't gotten around to watching it yet. Yeah, the guy that made The guy that
Art of
made
Self-Defense.
Art of Self-Defense and what was it? Fractures or Faults?
Fracture, yeah.
Faults.
False. Yeah.
That was the other one. I love that movie.
With Leland Orser.
Yeah, that movie was fucking great.
That is a banger.
It's a razor blade dildo banger.
Poor Leland Orser.
I mean, we love him. We've had Leland Orser movies on the show.
Shout out to Alien Resurrection, Leland Orser.
All right, everybody. That's the show. See you next week.
Right.
Big celebration. We'll see you then.
All right.
Wear a tie.
Bye.
We should dress up.
We should dress up.